Many people often wonder, what is the actual financial commitment involved in living on a boat? This question encompasses a wide range of expenses, from the initial purchase price of the vessel itself, to ongoing maintenance, docking fees, insurance, fuel, and even unexpected repairs. Understanding these various financial aspects is crucial for anyone considering this unique lifestyle. This is probably the question I've been asked the most over the years. How much does it cost to live on a boat? Let's start with the assumption that you've already found the boat of your dreams, or if you're still looking, we'll see together in a future video how to choose and buy the right boat for your needs, and most importantly, how to equip it so you can be happy on board. But you've already found it, and it's exactly the model you've always wanted, suitable for the type of sailing you prefer, ready to host family, friends, or even for single-handed sailing. You're ready to spend time on your boat, but the question keeps nagging at you. How much does life on the boat of your dreams cost? In this second episode of Living on a Boat, we'll be analyzing the monthly costs and possible unexpected expenses of living aboard, considering the boat as a floating home. The first thing to do is set a budget you want to stick to, so you can set aside a little money each month, and trust me, you'll always need it. I earn this much, I spend about this much, I want to live like this, and based on your own means, you'll have to decide what your maximum monthly expense will be, both what you want and what you can actually afford. Over the past 3 years, I've seen people living on all kinds of boats. Financially speaking, these people's lifestyles were simply determined by what they could afford to spend each month, no more, no less. After all, it's impossible to think about buying a 20-meter boat to live super comfortably when your monthly income is only €1,000. You'll definitely have to adjust your needs to fit your budget. But I can say that by adapting, you'll be happy living on a boat for as long as possible. I want to point out that the list of costs we'll look at together in a moment comes from 3 years of live-aboard experience, and they're calculated for a family of 4, 2 cats, on a boat of about 13 meters in the Mediterranean, spending winters docked in port. For example, if you plan to live on a boat as a couple, you'll need to adjust some items, like groceries, which will no longer be for 4 people but just for 2. Also, as I already mentioned, we're not taking into account the initial cost of buying a boat, which is a topic we'll dedicate an entire video to. Alright, let's move on to the costs and start with marinas, ports, and anchorages. Along with maintenance, this is one of the main fixed costs on a boat. Depending on which part of the world you're in, this can vary quite a lot. The average cost of an Italian marina to keep your boat docked during the winter season, that is from November to April, ranges from a minimum of €250 per month to a maximum of €1,200. To keep this expense down, you should call and ask not for the monthly rate, but for the 6-month rate. The average summer cost is absolutely impossible to calculate. Marinas and ports charge rates that vary from location to location, €50, €300, €200 per day. That's why I prefer to spend more time at anchor to keep costs down. In fact, last year from May to October I didn't have any port expenses, but the previous season, with ports, the Corinth Canal, and other things, it cost me about €700. So let's estimate a minimum total cost for the marina of about €1,500 for the winter season, plus €500 for the summer season. The annual total is €2,000. Electricity and water. This expense also depends a lot on how much energy your boat uses and your personal habits. Keep in mind that in winter, electricity usage will be heavy, but if you have solar panels, this will help you use less. I prefer to use the panel to keep the boat's 12-volt system running, but at the same time I also use shore power for the fridge and the 220-volt outlets. Utilities are almost never included in the cost of the marina. You'll have to calculate them separately. Always take the winter season into account. In the best case scenario, if you have access to a residential rate, you might spend about €80 to €90 a month, plus 10, 15, or €20 for water. Don't use an electric air heater, it uses a lot of power and doesn't heat much. Buy a radiator and pair it with a Webasto-style heating system to save money. This will also get rid of all the humidity in your boat. We can estimate the average monthly cost at about €100. The total yearly cost is around €600. Gas. Knowing that gas is hard to find in winter, make sure to stock up adequately in the summer, unless you have induction cooktops. An adequate supply means at least 1 cylinder per month. The total annual cost for gas alone, not including the cylinder deposit, is about €250. Phones and internet. These days, no one goes without internet and a smartphone, so you'll definitely need to factor that in. Do a thorough search for deals and you'll find that it's not that hard to avoid spending a fortune if you plan to stay in the Mediterranean. My monthly cost for phone and internet via WebPocket is about €30. If you have specific connectivity needs, check out my article on the Hinelson blog, Internet on a Boat with Satellite and 4G. We'll cover this topic in depth in the next video of our web series Living on a Boat. The total yearly cost for internet and phones is about €360. Fuel, here we need to distinguish between the two types of boats, motorboats and sailboats. Only you can know how much your boat consumes and estimate the annual cost based on the route you plan to take. I have a 200-liter diesel tank that I can often make last for an entire season by using the engine as little as possible, so I managed to keep this expense to about €400 a year. So, annual total, €400. Insurance. There are different types, but the most common are just two, liability insurance and hull insurance. Depending on the insurance company you choose, the costs can vary greatly. For a 12-meter boat, liability insurance ranges from a minimum of €200 to a maximum of €300, but if you also add hull insurance, which is more or less like comprehensive coverage for the sea, depending on the variables, it could go up to €2,500. So let's estimate an average annual total of €1,500 for insurance. Routine maintenance. I should point out that you can significantly reduce this cost simply by doing many of the small jobs your boat needs on your own. As always, check out our blog and our YouTube channel to learn more about maintaining your boat. For each item, I'll include the cost if the work is done by the shipyard or if you do it yourself. The main expenses are definitely hauling out and launching, which costs about €250 to €300, and if you want to do it yourself, you'll really have to get creative. Pressure washing. The shipyard charges €100 to €150, but if you do it yourself, the only cost is buying the pressure washer. Anti-fouling. Shipyards charge around €1,000 to €1,100, but you can do it yourself for €300 to €400. Engine check at the shipyard is €300 to €500, but you can do the oil and fuel filter checks and change the engine oil yourself for about €80. As for the engine timing, once a year you can just change the belts, and the following year also the tensioners. At the shipyard it costs between €300 and €500. While doing it yourself you can spend between €50 and €150 including the tensioners. Various consumables, including cleaning supplies for the boat, so first and foremost WD-40, sponges, polish, detergents, greases, oils, beauty creams, alcohol, acetone, Tech Wonder, and much more. The annual cost is roughly between €300 and €500. The average total for yearly routine maintenance is €2,000. Extraordinary maintenance. This, as you probably know if you already own a boat, is the most unpredictable expense of all. Extraordinary maintenance includes all those unplanned costs. On average, these run from €50 to €100 per month, but sometimes they can be much higher than that. Let me tell you a story. I'm about to leave Lepanto, and after 5 minutes of sailing, the boat just doesn't seem to want to move under engine power. I dock again under sail. We jump into the water to see if we've lost the propeller, but we find out it's still there. So it turns out the gearbox only works in reverse, and after 11 days at anchor, the new gearbox finally arrives. A bill for €2,360. Let's just say that's quite a sum for just 1 month. And to make sure you're not caught off guard by unexpected events, I recommend setting up a fund where you can set aside money for the boat. Try to put at least €200, €300, or €400 a month into this fund, depending on what you can afford. You'll find that I'm not far off from reality. So, annual reserve fund, €3,000. To get your boat ready for any challenge you want to put it through, you can choose the best products and take advantage of personalized payment options tailored to your needs, only on our store Hinelson.com Cambusa. To avoid waste, I recommend planning a weekly menu for 2 reasons. First, you'll avoid waste by not buying things you won't be able to cook, and second, you'll do your shopping all at once, so you can keep an eye on the total amount. This expense is also unpredictable. If you're used to eating oysters and champagne, then this item will be quite significant. In my experience, for a family of 4 plus 2 cats, we spend about €500 a month on groceries, and I assure you we eat very well. The secret is to choose seasonal fruits and vegetables, preferably locally sourced. Buy meat from local farms whenever possible. If you like legumes, buy them dried. Just soak them in water the night before to enjoy dishes that are much more nutritious than canned beans. With these small tips, you'll eat better and your live-aboard wallet will thank you. We can save €6,000 a year. Other. This category includes everything that's not related to the boat but also isn't covered by the other categories, like restaurants, museum tickets, the vet for your pets, events, tobacco, and all those things you never really know about. Here, I won't put a specific amount because everyone knows what they spend on themselves. We're down to the final reckoning, so get comfortable and fasten your life jacket. Let's add up all the figures from each category to find out what we'll spend on average per year to live on a 12-meter boat, taking care of some of the maintenance ourselves. So, marinas, ports, and anchorages, 2,000 euros, electricity and water, 600 euros, gas, 250 euros, phones, 360, fuel, 400, insurance, 1,500, routine maintenance, 2,000, extraordinary maintenance, 3,000, provisions, 6,000, other, not specified. The total comes to about 16,110 euros. This figure gives you an idea of the average expenses you should expect for a family of 4. Keep in mind that costs are lower if you decide to live on a 34-footer, but they will skyrocket for every extra meter of comfort beyond 12. That wraps up the cost analysis of living on a boat. Now that you know this, don't let these costs discourage you, because if your decision is strong, you'll definitely be able to handle whatever comes your way, just like a true liveaboard. As always, remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, and also follow us on our Facebook page. A big hello to all aspiring liveaboards, and see you next time with Hinelson Living on a Boat.